I became a millionaire when I actually learned how to speak to girls. And chances are, if you clicked on this video, it's because you want both of these things. Now, to understand why this is even true, we first need to understand the actual 3 layers of being a successful man, whether that's speaking to women or that's building a business. Every one of us falls into this spectrum. 20% of men even get to the second layer, and less than 1% get to the actual 3rd layer. To actually grow in between these layers, there needs to be a level of metamorphosis in which you kill your current self and become a completely new version of yourself. The death of who you are and the birth of who you must become. So let's actually just dive right in. Phase number 1, and the first actual starting point where most of us start at, there's some people that start at phase number 2, most of us start at phase number 1, I start at phase number 1. This is Bob. Bob is the shy guy, is what I'd like to call the man that never tries. Bob is the guy that overthinks. Bob is the guy that looks at a woman and his heart starts racing. Even thinking of the idea of going and having a conversation with a girl, whether he likes this woman or not, it's terrific for him. It's just so far ahead that he would just never do that. You know, Bob looks at the second version of being a man, looks at what I'd like to call Chad, looks at Chad with so much admiration in his eyes. He looks at him like wondering, how can this guy even approach girls like this? Why is he so confident? Why am I so not confident with myself? He replays the scenario of going and approaching a girl hundreds of times before even doing it, and he usually never ends up doing it. You know, he's that guy that most of us are, and most of us were at one point, that you just don't even fathom yourself approaching a woman. Even thinking about it makes you very, very scared. This is a man that's never tested. He's never been rejected. He's never been put in the position to even fail. And I was Bob. I was him in middle school. I remember being that guy that used to ask his friends, dude, how do you even talk to girls? He used to ask his friends that actually flirted with women, that actually had girls, you know, that wanted to be with them. Like, what do you even do, man? Like, what do you even say? You know, just the idea of like having a conversation just seemed unreasonable, because I was in my mind, it was like, what am I going to say? How am I going to keep the conversation going? What ifs is what controls Bob. What if I run out of things to say? What if she thinks I'm weird? What if I just say the wrong thing? What if I'm not good enough? That's what's in the mind of Bob every single day when he's thinking about speaking to a girl. And that was me, not just with girls, but with business. Bob is also the guy that doesn't try any business ideas. I was Bob back then, and I was the guy that used to look at all these business models, dropshipping, trading, everything, and used to think that's too good to be true. I don't even think that's real. How come an 18, 19-year-old kid is living in Bali with his friends making 5, 10, 20K a month? Like, it must be a lie. So I'm not even gonna try. That sounds so unreasonable that I'm not gonna give it a shot. Bob is the guy. I was the guy that thought, where do I even start? What do I even say when I speak to a woman? What business model do I even try? Maybe I'm just not good enough, so I'm not even gonna try. That's why I was broke. That's why I had no money in my bank account, because I wasn't even trying. That's why I had no girls back then, because I wasn't even trying. That's Bob, and that's where we all usually start at. And if you're there, it's okay. You can get out of there. I did it. You can too. But when you're Bob, it comes a time when you get tired of being Bob. It comes to a time in which you're just tired of being stepped on people treating you like shit, on people using you for their own sake, on people disrespecting you, and you not even having the confidence of standing up for yourself, of saying, hey, don't speak to me like that, of saying, hey, never do that to me again. There comes a time in which you get tired. And if you're like me, you get very obsessed with changing and killing who you were. And that's when the metamorphosis comes. The metamorphosis of ego. And that's what Chad comes. That's when you actually start becoming Chad. Who even is Chad? Chad is the second guy. Chad is the guy that Bob used to look up to. That guy that speaks up for himself. That guy that doesn't let anyone step on him. And as soon as someone speaks to him in a certain way, he's like barking at them like, yo, never speak to me like that ever again. He's that guy that can get girls, that has a lot of girls like trying to be with him. And he actually nurtures that. He goes and sleeps with women. He goes and flirts around. Chat learned the game already. Chat got obsessed with the game. I was chat back then, and I was watching these videos on manipulation, on speaking to girls, on this corny pickup lines that you need to go to and tell the girls to even like open a conversation up. And you get rejected. You get rejected at the start, but you get rejected so many times that you get kind of used to it. So then you start becoming good at it. And then you get good at the game. And then you have a couple women, you're speaking to, and you have a couple girls flirting with you at once. And then it comes to a time in which sometimes you don't even need to approach women, women approach you. And on the surface, you might think you're confident. On the surface, you might look at Chad and think, damn, he's a confident guy. But the truth is, he's terrified. It's just a mask of fake confidence. It's just a mask of ego. It's just a costume that gets built up on compliments and on showing your friends how, look, I can actually get girls. And you find yourself in this game of just trying to make women like you, because that's what's building your fake confidence. That's what's building your mask of ego. You think you're free, but you're not. You're just relying on other people to feel loved, to feel worthy of being someone. I was Chad. I became in high school. I went from Bob to that phase of learning and watching videos and getting rejected so many times, in which it got to the point that, yeah, rejection hurt, but it didn't really hurt that much because I got very good at the game, technically, right? And I was flirting with girls, and it gets very interesting because I used to find myself flirting with women that it wasn't the woman I wanted. It wasn't the girl I wanted to have. It was just good enough for me to like her, but not scary enough for me to get rejected. So that was a proof for me that I wasn't even that confident. I was just trying to build my confidence speaking to women that I wasn't like that attracted to, and just literally trying myself to be liked by them. And not just trying to be liked by them, but trying to make sure that my friends look at me flirting. They look at me as the Chad, because for me, I was looking up to people. I was looking up to this Chad that had so many women. So I was like, I want to be that Chad now. I want to show my friends that now I know how to speak to girls. Now I'm good enough because I can have a woman look at me and actually kiss me at a party or whatever. But that's not real. It's just a very, very thin crystal wall of confidence that can be very easily broken. And that also translated into business, because I started to build this fake confidence, and I said, you know what? I've gotten rejected a couple of times, so I'm going to give this a try. And I got into high ticket sales. I got into high ticket sales 3 years ago. And you know what? It fucking worked. 6 months from there, I was making 10K a month online. Most money I've ever made. I'm from Mexico. For me, that was like insane money. So I got more confident. My ego started building up, and I started making good money, and I started like buying nice things and showing people that didn't believe in me, look, I'm making money, I'm making shit happen. And I was a 19-year-old making 10K a month, like, of course, right? Ego built. And that's what happens to a lot of chats in business, right? You start building your confidence out of external results, out of how much money you're making, out of what you're wearing, out of how people are looking at you in social media. And just as it is very fake and very easy to break in with women, is the same thing with business. And you know what happened? It fucking broke. With girls and with business. One time, I was making 10K a month. I was super confident. I dropped out of school because I'm so good to even go to school. Next month, boom, 1K a month. I felt worthless. I felt like everything I built was not meant anything. I felt like I wasn't good enough. All the ideas and fears that I had, that maybe I'm not good enough, but hey, I'm making money. Hey, I have girls that want to be with me, so maybe I am good enough. Boom. The moment that goes away, your confidence plummets back to where it actually is. You don't feel worthy of love. So you seek love externally, whether that's by making money or by speaking to girls. And again, it gets you to a certain point. That built the confidence of me to say, I can be with girls if I really want to. I can make money if I really want to. But it was built on a fake foundation, on a fake statue that with a little wind drops down. And when that happens, and after all that's when you actually start to realize that that confidence is very hollow. And it's not just hollow, but it depends on the crowd's applauding. And if the crowd's not applauding, your confidence drops down. And it comes a point to some people, that's why I say only 1% of people get to it, because a lot of people get stuck on the chat, but very few amount of people actually go to what I call the transcendence of ego, the death of ego, which is what all men, us, we should always be striving for. Killing our ego. A lot of books talk about this. Ryan Holiday, ego is the enemy. Killing ego and building faith. And you can only do this with two things, with love and God. And without God, you cannot build self-love. Because if you truly love God and you give your life to Jesus, He's going to take care of you. And that's when you start understanding that you don't need external validation. That's when you become what I call Zenith. Zenith is the man beyond the game. He's past it. You know, he's the guy that he knows he can. He knows he can be with any woman. He can fuck around. He can conquer a business. He can do the thing he wants to do. He's dangerous enough. He knows he can get in a fight and win, but decides not to. He knows he could humiliate someone else and decides not to. He knows he could be with any woman and decides not to. He knows he can manipulate and decides not to. That's what being Zenith actually means. Zenith is the man we all should be striving to become. Zenith is the man that's confident, no matter of women liking him, no matter of how much money he's making, no matter of what people, not matter of what people think, because he knows he's the son of Jesus and he's loved, and he's worthy of things, and he is capable of things. And out of that love, he builds confidence, real confidence, not fake ego, and he builds empires. He takes care of his energy. His energy isn't scattered. He's jealous of his time. He doesn't spend time with women that don't treat him well. He doesn't take disrespect from other people, but not just doesn't take disrespect, but he's not reactive. He doesn't react like Chad does. Because Chad, since his ego is so fragile, you poke him a little bit and it hurts, so he starts barking at you. Zenith, no. You know, you can, you drop his cup of water at a restaurant. You order something at a restaurant, it's not what you wanted. It's fine. You know you're worthy of more. Like, you're not gonna fight the waiter for it. Hey, no worries. We all make mistakes. Sometimes you even eat the thing, because who cares? You know? But if someone actually disrespects you, you draw a line. Hey man, don't speak to me like that ever again. If you do, I'm not gonna speak to you again. Clear line. Doesn't need to be loud, doesn't need to bark to other people, because he's confident. Zenith is not the loudest guy in the room, is the calmest. It doesn't mean he's harmless. Again, he's not going to allow people to step on him. It means he's dangerous, but decides not to make damage to other people. He's capable of doing damage and decides not to. And I'll be honest, I'm not even there yet. I'm trying every day of my life to become that guy. Sometimes it's easy to fall into the idea that you need to make a certain amount of money. You need to be liked by girls, you know? And it's easy to forget that you're Jesus' son and you're worthy of love. But brother, if you're watching this, you're the son of the King of Kings, bro. You're worthy of everything. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of building the life you want to live. But God's not just going to give it to you because you're worthy of it. If you're watching this video, it definitely means that you have big dreams and big desires, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't have these desires. God gave you this desire. God gave you this desire of growing up, becoming a certain person. That's the gift God gave you. And it's going to be your choice if you actually decide to take on that. If you're actually going to decide to become Chad, and not necessarily just become Chad, but become the Chad that understand this principle. And if you do that, you're going to become Chad and you're going to transcend into Zenith right away. And you're going to be able to live the life of your dreams, not because you need the money, not because you need the women, but because you know what you're worth, and women gravitate towards you. Money gravitates towards you. For me, this change actually happened when I realized that I didn't need other people. I realized that I didn't need women to be with me, for me to feel worthy of it. And it's very interesting how life works, because when I realized that and I actually believed myself to be worthy of things, when I actually reminded myself that I'm the son of Jesus, things started happening. I started making the most money I've ever made, because I wasn't acting out of scarcity, out of fear, out of showing people what I had. I was acting out of love, out of abundance, out of faith. That's when I met my dream girl. A girl that I'm not gonna have sex with till I'm married, you know? A girl that supports me. That's when I made the most money I've ever made with my business. That's when I've been the most fulfilled with what I'm doing. I have purpose in what I do, and my happiness doesn't rely on how much money I made in a month, or how much woman I can sleep with in a month. My self-worth relies on my relationship with God and my relationship with myself. That's when you become a zenith. And again, I'm not there yet. I'm trying to remind myself of that every single day. I have bad months. I have months in which I don't make that much money and I get very nervous and I get very scared, you know. I have times with my girl in which maybe I don't get the reaction I'm looking for, or maybe I don't have the experience I'm looking to have with her and I get insecure, you know, and I try to fall back into this past way of being. And I start trying to manipulate her. I start trying to do this things that I know I'm gonna get a reaction from just to feel worthy of love. So my job and my full-time job right now is reminding myself that I don't need that. Reminding myself that I don't need these techniques, these manipulation techniques to be worthy of love. I don't need to make 10, 20, 100K a month to be worth something. Because I am already worth something. Because I'm the son of Jesus. And you are too, brother. And when you get to this state, at least when you're trying to, your external world reflects your internal world. Your external world mirrors your internal state. When you get here, I promise you, you're going to find the right girl. You're not just going to find the right girl, but you're going to feel worthy of being that man. You're going to make the money you want to make. You're going to start building the business you want to build. Or if you already have it, you're going to get it to where you want to get it to. And always remember, you can skip through this. You cannot, there's not a shortcut in life. You cannot just go from Bob to Zenith. You need to go through the hustle. You need to go through the pain sometimes to actually understand this. You might think you're going to learn this by watching this video, and it's going to help, trust me, because you're going to be more aware of how things work. But it's very easy to fall into that trap, and you probably will. To become a zenith, you first need to become a Chad, because to become a zenith, you have to have the power to say no to certain things. Someone respectable is not a guy that's a virgin because he's never been with a woman ever because he can't, you know? Someone that's respectable is the guy that can have every woman he actually desires. The guy that has women DMing him, women chasing him, and he's saying no to them. That's the guy that you respect. The fighter that could kill you if he wanted to, but is stoic and he controls himself. That's what you want to strive for. But you first need to be the fighter that could kill somebody to decide to control yourself. You first need to be the one that attracts women, to say no to them and to say yes to God and to say yes to your future wife. And I'm going to leave you with this Chinese proverb that says, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Be capable of violence, but be disciplined enough to never need it. And this applies to business, to women, and to becoming the best version of yourself. Conquer this, conquer yourself, and the life of your dreams will follow. I promise you. I hope this video actually helped you conquer like at least the inner world that we all fight every single day. And if it did, and you want to actually put things into reality, and if you have that level of confidence in yourself that you don't need external validation, or maybe you're not there yet, but you're trying to get there and you want to actually build the business on the side, text me on Instagram. I can tell you a bit about what I do, a little bit of how I'm here in Bali, living with my boys, making money online. DM me the word sales in Instagram and I can see if I can help you out. And if not, I'll just try to point you in the right direction, bro. But I love you. Get to work. Love Jesus. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, bro.